Welcome, everybody. Welcome to week 5. Can you believe it? You guys have made it this far. Isn't it awesome? You guys have done a great job. We've gone through so much information, and it's so important because it's that foundation to your business. And this week we get to talk about marketing, and I absolutely love it because it it's such an important aspect that many people don't necessarily think of. For example, when I took over for the B&B, it was like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and I needed to look at what they were doing so I could make a difference. So I looked at that, profit and loss statements. I looked at our balance sheets. I looked at all of that information. And then I've also looked at, our marketing, and there was none. The previous owner relied on word of mouth. And that doesn't really get you anywhere. And I mean, like, they had a website, but I swear it was like the first website ever created. It's that like lace and doily and Pepto-Bismol pink, and it was like, they did it, like they did the marketing plan once but then never looked at it again. And that was a big issue that I had to come up with. I had to do everything from I had to create the Facebook page, like all the social media. There was none. He used, like, if he was going to run an ad, he would run it in newspaper, and that's it. Like your local newspaper, which doesn't help if you're a bed and breakfast expecting people from out of state to come and stay at your place. Like those kind of things that you have to think of. And that's why I love this week, because there's so many different possibilities, and the potential to do different avenues for marketing is awesome. There's just so much you can do. So that's why I'm excited about this week. We get to do all of it. And the number one thing that I want to say right now is marketing is never free. For those who think that you can market and do social media and that's free, it is not free, right? Bill, you're shaking your head. Why is it not free?
I actually checked into it, and I thought it was. You're supposed to add on there, but they charge you like $7 and some odd cent for every 1,000 clicks. So so the more clicks you get, the more it costs you.
Yeah.
Same with Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
That would be so, but you can find pages on the social media that they will have like small business Tuesdays or whatever it is for the week. You can advertise your page for free. So yes, there is free time on Facebook. I have done it.
But okay, Chalet, what were you gonna say? My sparkling chef.
Hey, so about marketing, just even the first step of showing who you represent. I had to pay a design team just to make my logo, so to get them professionally done, and so that costs money. Because I don't have the talent, the skills in graphic design, so I got the experts to do it for me. But a logo is, for me, the start of who I represent, just in visual, so it took money on my part.
Yeah, and remember, especially for social media, it takes time. It takes time to do all of take those photos, post it on Instagram, do stuff on Facebook, write your blogs, all of that stuff. It takes time, and your time should be compensated. So while you consider it free, it's not free, because you had to take that time to make all of that happen. Even if you found a free platform, you still had to pay yourself to be able to put everything on there. And remember, your time is precious. So you need to make certain that you're compensated for it accordingly. Yes, Chalet.
So regarding that point you brought out about our time is valuable, so it will be right for me to calculate in a log book the hours I spent and the way hours, even if it's voluntary, even if I don't pay myself, those are working man hours, dollars, so that I can use that to show on my business plan the hours spent in investment, because they want to say how much do you have skin in the game. So you can use those hours as part of that monies, showing that you put skin in the game.
Exactly, because you need to, and you want to make certain that you can see how much time it takes you to be able to do all of that part of your, like, your social media and blogging, and it, because it can take up a lot of time. And if you decide to actually have somebody do it for you, because as you guys have had, I'm sure, Chef Jonathan hates social media. He will gladly pay somebody to take care of his social media needs, because he does not want to do that. And you need to make certain you know how long it will take, and that you can pay them accordingly. And Bill, I'm laughing at your post about your wife. Please tell my wife that. What's your question, Bill?
Well, she doesn't believe my time is worth anything. But on the assignment, you know, we're only allocated so much. But on going off of what Shalette had said, when you have that logo made, that is your logo. And then if you go and you take that same logo and you apply it to a hat, a shirt, a sweatshirt, you can increase your marketing budget by the profits you make off of selling your shirts, your sweatshirts, your hats, so on and so forth, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Because that's all going to be part of that marketing. That merchandise is also part of your marketing. So, for example, yeah, you put it on Jam. That is great. So, for example, I helped a friend of mine out. They were starting their business last summer. And we had somebody create a logo, do all that stuff. Because remember, it's not just creating the logo. It's what type of colors are you going to use? Because you want to make certain that you have the right type of colors and you have the right type of font, because you're going to have your logo and that's going to stand out. And then you're going to do a different style font, right? Because you guys learned this in your menu design class, right? How you have your primary fonts and that are going to be like those headers. And then you have that secondary font, which is that body. So you want to make certain everything looks nice and it flows and it goes with your concept. So if you're going to have a high-end establishment, you might do a fancier style font, versus if you're going to, you know, do a food truck, you may do something else. Another great point that Greg brought up is trademarking. You have to trademark this stuff, especially if you decide, because I don't want you guys to just think small. I want you to think, like, what do you really want to do? What is the potential for your business? Because if you see yourself being able to franchise, then you need to think ahead and think like with what Greg put, which is logo, copywriting, doing the trademarking, all of that stuff. You want to do all of that in the beginning in your stages now, so that you're prepared for later on. And it only cost you $250, Chef, to do that. That's a really good deal, because it can range anywhere. So for us around here, we found that it was going to cost $5,000, or no, sorry, $5,000 for all the marketing, for somebody to create the brand, create the logo, do the colors, get all of the stuff that's needed necessary to put in the website. And then it was going to be another, $5,000 for the lawyer to do all of the contracts and right entities and all that and logo. And, you know, seller's permits, doing the business entities. That's why I love all of the assignments you guys have done, because how many of you were surprised to see that, like, especially for the seller's permit, that you'd find businesses that are like, oh, we'll do the seller's permit for you for, you know, $69.95, and then come to find out that you can actually do it yourself for free. How many people were surprised by that? Yeah, I'm seeing hands. Yes, yes. And that's where, you know, doing this research and getting this information now and setting up that plan and a budget for your marketing is going to really help you understand what you need to focus on and how to go about getting those people that you want in your doors. So let me go to, ta-da. Okay. You guys see my screen, right? Yes? Yeah? You guys see the, okay, perfect. So I like this because it goes over a lot of different varieties, because marketing isn't just social media. People kind of forget that we are in a technological world, and, you know, we can reach so many more people now, which is fantastic. But this is where knowing your target market is really going to help you. Because remember, you guys, we're in a hospitality food service industry, right? People cannot dine online. They still need to eat your food. They physically have to eat your food. So that's where understanding all of the concept, your guest expectations, how you are going to be, how they're going to be receiving those services, all of that stuff is going to affect your marketing and how you do it. And you guys remember for your, for week 1 when we talked about the demographic? Yes? Yes. We talked about the demographic, and you guys needed to know what the population was in your area, what the age was, level of income, all of that stuff. You have that demographic information, and this is where you get to now figure out your target market. You found out all that big, broad spectrum, and now you can hone it in to figure out who you're going to market to. Who is your target market? Because remember, for your business, you do not have enough money to market to every single person. You just can't. You don't have enough money. And if you did, it'd be like billions of dollars, right? And would you really want to spend billions of dollars marketing to every single person around the world? Or would you just, you know, take that money and move to Hawaii with shallot? Like, so who are you going to be able to market to? And for my example is McDonald's. McDonald's does not market to millionaires, right? They will gladly take their money. If a millionaire wants to come in and eat at McDonald's, they will gladly take it, but they are not specifically marketing to millionaires, right? So that's where that whole trickle down effect happens, where you have your target market who you are going to focus on, but then you'll have that trickle down effect, like kind of like that umbrella, where it'll spread out, but you want to focus on those people that you are going to actually market to, and then it'll trickle down and get to other people. But you're not going to spend, say you're going to be a vegan restaurant, you're not going to spend thousands of dollars marketing to a person who is an avid hunter, right? Because they're more likely going to be actually eating that meat. They're not necessarily going to eat at a all vegan restaurant. So don't waste your money marketing to somebody who's not actually going to be there to eat your food. Chalet, what is your question?
That was funny about marketing meat to vegan people. That was kind of funny. But it's centering to the right targets. But when you talked about global or getting your brand or your marketing out there, instead of doing all the work, have other people do the work for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I met with one of the ice cream companies, the big ice cream companies here on the islands, and they said they could take my jam and put it into a swirl, and they can make the ice cream but put my logo and market it through the stores here all in Hawaii. So I'm meeting with that. But it's like I don't have time to make ice cream. I don't have time to do all that stuff. But if they have my logo but they have my jam, then they can do it for me, have them work for me kind of thing, instead of me doing all the work.
Oh yeah, it's like that dual partnership, and those are really, really great. Like we actually had one with a business here where we had an organic garden, and we had grape leaves growing in the back, and we'd make our own jams and that kind of thing. But then we had a Greek restaurant who wanted the grape leaves. So we did a partnership where I was like, you can have my grape leaves if you market that's where you got my, market in your store that they came from my place. And so you can create that dual marketing. Like we did that. That's why I'm all about getting out there and talking to your community, because you can create really great partnerships where, we wanted to do a local coffee shop. So I found we tried out all the different coffees. It was fun. We got all the guests involved. All the guests got to try out and sample different coffees. Everybody was super caffeinated at 3 p.m. eating donuts. I made homemade donuts, and they're all going nuts trying the coffees. And then we picked the one that we liked, and then we did a dual promotion where we would sell their coffee, and then they'd also have our signage and all that stuff in their coffee shop, so that people knew that we were promoting and supporting local businesses.
I just also got an offer to assist in a bazaar. They'll take my jam, take our logos, and promote our new business, because we're trying to promote local, Maui first, sustainability and local. But the marketing also that I've been going out to all the different chefs here on the west side is talking to the executive chefs, giving them a jam, having them bring out ice cream and put my jam on the ice cream. And now they just love it. And so I'm just starting one thing with marketing, working with these executive chefs in our jams, where we're using strawberry guava. And it's been coming successful. I got to send you, I'll mail you one.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then, since we first started off talking about marketing, let's backtrack a little. What do you guys think what is involved with marketing? What do you guys think is involved with marketing?
Information about your product.
Information about your product, right? What else?
Really having a personal relationship with the people that are involved at the business, like maybe general managers or the people in charge of sales. Try to make a relationship with them.
Yeah. What else? That's good. Those are great.
Internet, social media, like you said.
The style of food that you're cooking. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Selling your product, right? Yeah, because it is the coordination of exchanging your goods and services in an effort to fulfill the wants and needs of your customers. Is a fancy way to say you have product, somebody wants to buy it, you're going to make them aware of that product, and then they will come and buy it. So how will you get your brand out there? What are some ways that you can get it out there?
Radio.
Did you say radio, Bill?
Yeah.
Yep. Radio. Yes. I mean, how many times, how many people have those little jingles stuck in your head? That's all the little like appliance, 588-2300 Empire. Like, you always have those little jingles.
I need that song.
Right? Flyers. Elaine, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, I've done like baskets of goodies since I do baked goods. I will take them to people and go here, like we have friends in other neighboring towns. I will take goodies and say happy birthday or open house, and it's all free. And my business card is stuck inside the goodies.
Yeah,
So they
that is
get the goodies, they get the face, they get the business information. Bing, bang, boom. It's
yeah,
done.
that's fantastic. So yeah,
Billboards.
news,
You can do
billboards,
billboards.
yeah, the billboards, yes. Newspapers. I see travel guides.
Television. Television.
Yep, yeah. Heather said TV too. What else?
Craft fairs.
Craft fairs.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
That's what I say in my mouth.
Schools, maybe schools and colleges, educate people about colleges, schools.
So remember, things like signage. That's a form of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Like your giant sign, your logo on your merchandise, your business cards, any coupons that you do, all of your social media, because remember, social media is one technique.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your Instagram, Pinterest. And funny enough, I was one of the first businesses to actually put one of the first B&Bs to use Pinterest. And I would feature all of our weddings on Pinterest. And
I love Pinterest. I love it.
I got 40% of my wedding sales off of Pinterest.
Wow.
Because I put up those, because brides are always looking for ideas. So I would put Fort Collins, dairy-free cake, blah, 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 do all that stuff. And I got quite a few sales off of Pinterest because of that stuff. So, and I always say Pinterest is great and bad all at the same time, because the brides and everybody gets that idea, but then when they see that idea, they're like, oh yeah, I want that. And I'm like, well, that's great. That idea is like $10,000. Do you have $10,000 to make that happen? And they're like, no, we have 500. I'm like, yeah, that's not good. You're not going to get like that then. Repeat business. That is great. Getting that customer satisfaction. One of my favorite stories for that, Bill, is one of my customers. He was a consultant. He would come in on like Mondays. He would leave and go home on Fridays and do that routine. And he actually did it for like 2 years. And he happened to be on the plane, and he was in, business class, and he was talking to somebody, and the person was like, oh yeah, like, where did you stay? And he was like, oh yeah, I just stayed at this great place. It was so wonderful and blah, blah, blah. And the food was wonderful. And he happened to be telling the new owner who loved the B&B, like the new owner, how great the place was. So it's funny how that type of, loyalty and customer service can really help. And then what else do you guys think you could do?
Cards, maybe punch cards, so they can come back. If they punch so many cards,
so
you can get a repeat.
Yeah, the
loyalty program. Yeah,
all of that kind of stuff, right? But
gift certificates.
And all that stuff kind of costs money, right? No matter what, it always ends up costing money. So you have to figure out what platform is really going to work for your establishment and for your business. And that's where knowing your target market and knowing that demographic is really going to help, because it also will help you understand, if you know your target market and say like, okay, the people who are going to be eating are going to be between, like in their 30s up to their 70s. And if you know that if you're going to have people range from 30s to 70s coming to your place, then you have different generations to deal with. And not just the baby boomers, millennials. I'm also talking about your digital generations, because you have something called a digital native. Those are people who grew up with technology. They always have known that a phone looks like this. They've never seen like the old school landline, you know. They've always had a computer. And then you have people like me and some of you who are digital immigrants. And those are people who didn't like, who know what a cassette tape is and a VCR.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had to learn.
Beta.
Yeah. And remember, like, so people who tend to have that are digital natives. Yep. And the 8-track. Yes. Like people who are digital natives tend to want to use that. Oh, and you got it.
That's vintage, man. That's vintage.
Yes. But those people tend to, like, you know, they want that video. Like, they don't want to have just look something up on Google. They want to have a little, like, mini video on YouTube to watch about your thing, or like are all about the Twitter and Instagram. As for digital natives, they may or may not want to be a part of that. Like, I know how to search for something like no other on Google, but I do not want to do anything. I don't want to have anything to do with Twitter, and I don't want to have anything to do with, like, you know, Facebook or any of that type of stuff, because I just don't want to do that stuff. So understanding that about your market can help you understand, like, well, how am I going to get to Rachel? I want Rachel to come to my establishment, but she's not on Facebook, and she's not on Twitter. How am I going to reach her? And those are things you have to think of, versus somebody else who may be all about Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. You're gonna be able to reach them differently than you'd reach me. And you may not want to use smoke signals. I don't know how well that would work. If anybody would actually know how smoke signals work anymore. If they still go, do they still go over that in Boy Scouts? I'm kind of curious if they still do that in Boy Scouts or not. But that's where
is it like
knowing
Morse code? Like
Morse code. But that's where knowing your target market and how to best approach them is really, really going to be able to help you. And that is where, let's go back to this bad boy here, knowing your audience, and then also understanding your brand, what you want your concept to be, what you want your business to be, is really, really going to be important here. Because if you're a high-end place, you're going to market differently than you would, say, like a fast food joint, right? Because what the customer's expectations are going to be different. If I'm going to be at a fast food joint, I'm going to expect fast service. I'm going to expect to pay something cheap, and it's going to be fast. Versus high end, I'm going to expect to have a memorable experience that's going to cost me more money, and I'm going to want to enjoy it more and have more time at the table conversing with my husband, because we're like, yay, we finally have a babysitter. It's only been like 12 months, but we finally have one and can go on a date. Like, let's enjoy this. You know, you're going to market differently. And so for that, you always have to start with research, right? That's why I love research. You have to look at the needs and the wants of your customer base. What are they going for? And then establishing your marketing plan. And this is something that, like I always say, that plan, do, check, act, that circle that you guys will continuously do forever and ever. You create the plan, and this is where the old, like, a lot of people tend to fail, is because they'll create the plan, but then they never go back to it. So you end up with like the guy who owned the B&B before, where he had a Pepto-Bismol pink website and he didn't actually have a Facebook page or a Twitter. He didn't keep up with what his target market was expecting. They were still in the AAA book. Do you guys remember the AAA book? Like that old school book? Nowhere was he anywhere online, but he was in that AAA book still. I don't even know if they even make that book anymore. But those are things that you need to consider, and that's why it's so important to establish that plan and always to re-examine it. You usually want to re-examine it every year. You typically will want to do it sooner, especially for a newer establishment. When you guys get up and running, you want to do that, examine it more often to make certain that you are hitting the mark. And then you're going to have your implementations, your controls of the 4 Ps, and then your follow-up service. So creating your marketing plan is always realizing the possibilities, making certain that you can utilize every single thing. So for example, if you are going to be an allergy-friendly establishment that can promote gluten-free, dairy-free, then I am going to get on the different gluten-free, dairy-free boards and start advertising there, because I know that I can, there are all those type of boards out there, and I can promote my business through those boards. So those are kind of things you do. We would, because the business was small and we would go to like warehouses, or I would buy food at Sam's Club, I got to the point where I realized that people would always see this, this one girl buying all this food for the place, and they'd always be like, "Oh, you having a party?" And I would be like, "No, I'm not having a party. I run a bed and breakfast." And I would pass them then a brochure. I would always have brochures in my purse, and I'd be like, "Here you go. You should totally come. We have like, we do this and this and this, and we do all this stuff. So yeah, come and check it out." Like knowing those type of possibilities, like how Elaine said, bringing cookies to other places. I used to do that. I would give her cookies. I would bake freshly baked cookies every single day for the guests checking in. And I would always give a couple of cookies to the post person, because that post person would then go to the next business and they would be bragging about how they had the best cookie. They just had the best cookie of their life. And then all of those other businesses started coming over and said, like, "Rumor has it you have the best cookie." And I'm like, "Well, I do. And we also have a delightful conference room that you can have your conferences in right here. So please come, like, check it out." And you can, like, being open to those kind of possibilities is really, really important. And creating your goals, like what you want to do, like what tools can you use to assist you, and that's asking those questions, like, what business are you doing? What does your brand stand for? Because if you're going to be a farm to table, you're going to market differently than somebody who's not going to be a farm to table. You have different options there. What is your selling point? And then knowing your target market, like we talked about, who your competition is, because knowing what your competition is and seeing what they're doing can also help you determine what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you. And then what is emerging? There's always a million different diet trends, right? Always a million different diet trends like out there. What's the newest one? Is it keto? Is that the newest one that's out there? Yeah, keto, paleo, all of those ones. There's like a million of them. So are you going to jump on that bandwagon? Are you going to make that be an opportunity for you for marketing? And then understanding that return on investment that we talked about, right? Yay, return on investment. How much money are you putting into your marketing budget, and how much are you actually going to get back in returns? So if you put like $100 into your marketing for the keto paleo trend, how much revenue did you make? Actually, how much of a profit did you actually make selling those keto friendly menu items? All of those kind of things you have to consider. And so, and then you can go off of the type of, you know, strategy that you're going for, like your products and your services, your reputation, your overall package, your volume, like pricing, all of that kind of stuff can go into that strategy, can go into your plan. And then the most important is making a timeline, because you always have to have a timeline for this stuff, because you need to be able to re-examine it. So making a timeline and saying, I'm going to do this within this certain amount of time. And then that way you have a base to go off of, and then you can really determine, did I make a return on investment during that time frame? Yes, Chalet, goals. Yes, you want to have those goals. They're really, really important. And then your 4 P's of marketing can help you with that. And your SMART goals, yes, look at you, SMART goals, boom. So your 4 P's of marketing, and you'll see that this is the basics, and you'll see that there's different ones that they have, like the 4 P's, and then they go 4 C's, and then they have I think they have a 4 D's now, or no, 4 T's of marketing. But this is that basic where you can ask these questions about your price, the promotion, your place, and your product, and then you can help create that that target market. And so, for example, all of these are, you know, like you can figure out what type of pricing you're going to do. Because if you know your competition, are you going to do comparative pricing? Are you going to do markup pricing? Are you going to do market skimming? How much do you think, since you'll be able to figure out your target market, how much do you think your target market will actually spend on your product, and figuring that kind of stuff out? And then one that they don't talk about here, it's usually the silent P, the 5th P, which is silent, is people. Because your employees make a difference. And because they are at that forefront, right? Yes, Sandy, it is like Alec Trebek saying price, price, price. And you know, the style of service you're going to do, your employees are right there making those interactions, making those moments of truth with your customer. Because remember, that moment of truth is that interaction that your customer is going to have with your business. And it can come from your menu, like them looking online at your website. That's a moment of truth. Because if they like what they see, if you have a clean cut website and they like the food, then that is that's a positive moment of truth. Somebody answering the phone and saying like, hello, this is Sparkly Chef, how may I help you today? Something like that. That is a moment of truth, like how you even answer the phone. So people make a difference here, because like I said, you cannot eat food over the internet. You know, like people have to come in, they have to get your product somehow. And it is important to have that customer service down, especially because in today's day and age where anybody can pull out their phone in 2 seconds and take a video and post it all over the place, right? So you really want to make certain that you have that plan, you have your procedures in place, because it's all about your brand. This is it's all about your brand image and making it be meeting your customers' expectations and creating those positive moments of truth. And then I wanted to pull these up for you guys because these are some websites that they do a really nice job with, and I wanted you guys to have this as a samples to see what you can do. And remember, this is also where I absolutely love talking about marketing, is because I have a friend who's like a food stylist. She never wanted to, like, she owned her own restaurant, she did all that, but she doesn't want to do that anymore. Like, she didn't want to do that for forever. She sold her place and then she became a food stylist. So she is paid to make food for, you know, websites like these. And they have that strong, like, she will make those foods. She would sit there with like tweezers putting the perfect amount of sesames on that salad and that kind of thing. Like, and you can definitely make a living doing that. You can also become an influencer. So how many people have heard of an influencer before? Is Archie here? Archie, are you here? Because we talked about that. Archie, if you're watching this, remember influencer. So influencer, for those who don't know, are those people who get 1 million people on their Instagram accounts and YouTube channels doing all that kind of stuff. And brands will actually pay them to create photos and or promote their products. So say I wanted to do a I had Campbell's soup, Campbell's tomato soup. I decided that I am going to make Campbell's tomato soup, but I'm not just gonna microwave it or put it on the oven. I'm gonna do some molecular gastronomy on that bad boy. I'm gonna turn it into an immersion foam and serve it over sauteed asparagus. And I'm gonna take a picture of it with that can of tomato soup and say, how cool is this? I just made this. And Campbell's could say, wow, that is awesome. I love that photo that you put on Instagram. I'm gonna pay you for it. And you can actually negotiate prices for that type of stuff. So it's actually, one of them is called Tribe, to give you guys an example. So if you're always wondering why people always care about how many people they have, it's because of stuff like this. So this is Tribe, and these are all the different businesses that they work with, and you can collaborate, and you can use them as, and this is how much of a ballpark you can make. If you have 3,000 to 25,000 followers, you can make, you know, $100, $200 per post, that kind of thing. Robert, what is your question?
I'm not sure if you covered this or not yet, but on the assignment, there was a couple of things where I couldn't actually copy and paste a web page or whatever, but I spoke with someone directly and put that information into the assignment. Will that work?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, and the second thing is I got a picture to show you later.
Okay, yeah. No, that's fine. And then here, let me, and then this is a hilarious thing, but it also shows how that I wanted to share with you guys that you can watch on your own. It's reading bad Yelp reviews. Because remember, marketing, it's all about your brand. It's all about your like how you are perceived. And this one is really funny. They dramatically read bad Yelp reviews. I don't know if you guys seen it, but it's hilarious. But you don't want to do that in your business. Because remember, it's all about creating that brand image. And you don't want to tell the customer, like if the customer leaves a bad review, you don't want to say, well, you're just wrong. Like, you're dumb. Like, you don't want to do that. That's not good marketing. That's not good brand image. That's where you have to come up with those type of things to say, where you say, oh, I am sorry that you didn't enjoy your stay. Here, let's come back and we can work on it together, blah, 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 blah. You know, coming up with those PR style responses so that you can actually turn that service failure into a service recovery. And that's also a part of your marketing. And then for this week, remember, your week 4, the late submissions are due tonight, so get those bad boys in. For those who already submitted, remember, you have until next Tuesday to make adjustments. I will be finishing grading everything tonight. And then week 5 assignments will be due on Tuesday at 11:59 p.m., right? And I also want to remind you to plan ahead because week 6 is always a short week, right? That last week is always a short week. So everything is due on Sunday. That is the last day of class. That week 6, that is, what day is that? We're in week 5, March 31st. March 31st is the last day of class. So you cannot submit anything after that Sunday. So plan ahead. If you have makeup assignments, or if you need to do a makeup assignment, start now. And don't just wait until the end to do your assignment, because remember, once Sunday comes, you cannot resubmit. There is no resubmission. So that's the grade you get. So if you turn it in on 11:59 p.m. on Sunday and say the link is broken, you will not, the link is broken, you're not going to actually get there is no trying to resubmit or anything. That's the grade you get. So because that is the last day of class, we're going to end up moving on and doing all the rest. You have to move on to your next class, your farm to table. So let's get you to your farm to table. So remember to plan ahead. And for those who are interested, the makeup assignments are here. So if you are missing them, makeup assignment 1, makeup assignment 2, you put it here and then you tell me. It's just like any other assignment, just tell me the week that it's for. So that's where you put week 2 assignment, week 3 assignment, whatever it is, that's where you put it in here. So remember that, and they're just at the very, very bottom right here. And then for your assignment this week, you guys have a marketing budget. So you have to calculate what 2% of your total revenue is, and that is your marketing budget. And then you list 3 different marketing techniques that you're going to use and explain how and why it is best for your concept. So social media, such as Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, Yelp, that's all one technique. So what were some of the other techniques that you guys talked about?
Radio. Bill mentioned radio.
Radio, yes.
Ads,
Ads.
like newspaper, travel guides.
Newspaper, travel guides, yep. What else?
Billboards.
What did you say, Sandra?
Billboards.
Billboards.
Like a billboard. Mhm.
The little blue signs on the side of the interstate.
The little blue signs on the side of the interstate. Yep, that has your little food this way with your logo. Yep.
Car magnets actually work because you're traveling and people see your car with your business on the car. They have to go then find you and look you up.
Yeah, the car, doing the actual, putting the logo on your car. I see park bench. Yep.
Shirts, hats.
Shirts, hats, merchandising. Yes. And then remember, all of that stuff costs money. So even if you say, I'm going to do Twitter and it's free, that's wrong because you had to pay yourself to put all those tweets up. And those tweets add up, right? All those seconds, everything adds up. Yes, Chalet.
So you're giving us a budget of 700,000, right? So
Well,
out of that, the budget is 2% of
2%.
700,000.
Correct, 2%.
So do we have to show you the breakdown of what we spent with the 2%?
Yep. So if you say, I'm going to do my website, I'm going to create my website, if that's going to be one of your techniques. So how much is it going to cost to do your website? That includes, remember, a domain. It usually costs money to buy your domain name. It costs money for somebody to host your website. It costs money for somebody to put it together. If you can do it, that's awesome, but you may have to pay somebody to do that. It's going to cost money for you if you decide to have an online store and you're doing like a reservation system or any of that type of stuff. That is going to cost money. Yes,
So
Bill?
what is 2%? Sorry, Bill. What is 2% of 700,000? Is that $14,000?
Yep, 14.
So, yes. Because remember, let me pull up my handy dandy calculator for you guys.
Well, that was my question. Are we using that 700,000 as our figure, or are we using our annual budget from where we did our own?
Nope, you're using this one.
Okay.
So you have 700,000 and you needed 2% of that, right? So I do 700,000 times 0.02, right? And then that gives me
All right. There's my budget. There's my budget.
So remember, things add up. Billboards, that costs money. You may be surprised at how much money they cost. Do you really want to spend a lot of money on a big ticket item like that and then have nothing else to do? Or like, if that's really going to work for you, that's great. But some places, billboards don't work. Because as Chef Jamie says, she lives in LA. She sees billboards all the time. It's kind of like white noise almost. So people don't pay attention because they see billboards all the time for movies and all that stuff. So
It's illegal. It's illegal in Hawaii. They don't allow that in Hawaii because they don't want to disturb the tropical beauty. So there's a lot of restrictions, regarding billboards. So you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You want to kind of spread them all out.
Exactly. And Bill, did that answer your question or did you have another one? Yep, that answered it. Okay, Timothy, what is your question?
Just for future reference as well, I just got finished working at a small-time business biker bar-like thing, and they wanted to do some advertisement. And so they actually called Google. You know how you Google an address and here I am? Well, it was on the opposite side of the road and 4 miles down the road. So they wanted to fix that and then post just their business hours and have where people could do like reviews of the restaurant. $13,000 initial price, and then they wanted $750 a year just to maintain that.
Oh.
Yeah. No, it gets expensive because remember, like anytime you guys, you see those ones where you do the like, you click on one website to look at like, a dress or a shoes or whatever, and then you go off and you go do something else, and then that little ad is still there. That's part of that Google Analytics where those ads pop up to remind you like, hey, remember you went to this website, like you may want to come back, you didn't finish shopping or whatever. That all costs money to figure out how to do all those Google Analytics. And those analytics can be very beneficial because they can help you figure out your target market. So for example, and this is where some of them can be slightly, I don't want to say creepy, but you can figure out how long somebody, like what website they went to before yours, where they go afterwards. You can see how long they stayed on each one of your, like on your web page and all the different links you may have, like a menu. It can count to see how much time you spent on it. It can tell you where you're from. So what like area you're from. So I was able to navigate and figure out using Google Analytics and talking to like my customers that I had a bunch of retirees coming from Texas, Wyoming, and from California who were looking at Fort Collins area for retirement. And so that meant I was like, okay, I have all of those people coming from that area, a good chunk of them that are coming from there are retirees. So I am going to market in AARP and doing that aspect. Like, so you can figure out using those type of analytics and then talking to your customers, being able to figure out who you really need to market to. And that's why it's so important to keep on going back and reevaluating your plan to make certain that you are putting the money where you should and if whether or not it is really working. Robert, what is your question?
Okay, you said that we had the 14 grand.
Yes.
Okay, now with the links and all the prices that I have already on the assignment, you want that all broken down and taken off that 14 grand as a sum total, right?
Yeah, so if you say I'm going to spend, like that website, like the domain, the hosting, it ended up being about, say, like $3,000 for my website to get up and running. You're going to put website, $3,000. I need a website because in today's technological world, it is important to keep, everybody up to date on the different, like, especially if you're a food truck, because, you have to put your schedule out of where you're going to be in the different locations.
Okay, so I'm going to have to resubmit because I did not total up what it would take from that 14 grand. I didn't total up how much altogether it would be.
Yeah. So,
okay, so
and
that's
you want to
gonna
make
be
certain.
the only thing I'm missing from the assignment is doing that total.
Yeah. And because remember, and that's where, like if you want to do a TV commercial, that's great. But those TV commercials can cost a lot of money. I mean, just like how much is the typical Super Bowl commercial? What is it, like millions? How much is it? They'll look like
2.7 million for a 30-second ad.
How much was it?
2.7 million for a 30-second ad.
Yeah. And is it worth it? Like, is it worth it to do that kind of thing for your establishment? If so, and if you think it is, that's great, but explain why and how. Because remember, your investors are going to want to know this stuff. They're going to want to know what you are going to do. And signage costs money, to put up a big old sign. And this is where it always gets interesting, which you really should do more research on marketing, because I absolutely, if you haven't noticed, I love coming up with these type of possibilities. But do remember stuff like, oh, I'm just going to do a simple sign. It's going to be black and white. But black is actually one of the most expensive signs to make, because it's the most expensive ink, and it actually fades very easily, especially in the sun. So you have to be careful about, if you're like, oh, I'm just going to be super simple, black and white. It's not really that simple. It's going to actually cost you more money to get that, black sign up. Sparkling Chef, what is your question?
So basically our homework assignment is 3 techniques of marketing. How, and you said, why do we choose that? Does the price, and then we put the price, how much it's going to cost. Do we have to go exactly 1,400, or what if I go like 1,400, 500?
You want to
go
keep
1,300?
You want to keep it to your budget. If you're under, that's fine, but you don't want to go over. And remember, put your concept summary in there, that delightful concept summary that you guys have been doing for week 1, week 2, week 3, or you didn't have to do it for week 4, but put that concept summary in there. That one that was your location, the name of your business, your style of service, your hours of operation, all of that stuff. Be certain to put that in here. Because remember, that's part of the grading rubric. It's concept description. It's a silly way to lose points. So be certain to put that in there. And then, yeah, how much is it going to cost? Because like I said, social media costs, that's your money and your time. And you may just say, forget it, I'm going to have somebody else do it for me. So how much is it going to cost them to do your social media? You can always have an employee do it, but you're going to have to pay that employee to be doing that social media for you. So how much is that going to cost? So think about those kind of things. And it's a lot more, right? How many people, like you guys, you have to take pictures all the time, right? For all your assignments. How long does it take you guys to make the food and take those pictures?
It takes a while. Sometimes I'm so into cooking, I forget to take the picture, and I'm like, oh no, and I have to stop and take pictures.
Actually, in this week's class, guys, it's so easy. It's like maybe 5 pictures while you're cooking. I got it done and turned it in today already. So it's only maybe 5 pictures and any extra that you want to do. So really, it's not that hard.
But yeah, but it always, you guys it's great doing this program too, because you guys already have that practice. You have it down where you're used to having to take those photos, right? So you now know what it really takes to really get a good photo, and how long it took to actually cook the food. How much did the product cost you to take those food? 432 pictures, Vince. You guys have taken quite a few photos for all your assignments. So you know how long it took you to do that. And how much would you pay yourself to take all those photos? Or say you're going to have, for those people who are going to be like doing that recreational cooking school, or if you're going to have a YouTube channel and you're going to have like a, those little videos, little blurbs about how you're going to make something, or you have like an ask the chef like hour, that's time and money. That's marketing you can do, but it does cost like time and money. So how much is it going to cost you? You're not getting paid. Well, you're getting paid from as in a grade, because it's your grade that you earned, and you're getting paid through the education that you get to learn through doing all of those pictures for your assignments. And now you should know. Now you'll have a good basis of what you need to look for, especially if you're going to hire someone like my friend who's a food stylist, who, because. Like, for example, she did a Kraft Foods when they decided to do avocado mayo. She did a Kraft Foods photo shoot where they wanted a deviled egg. And it spent 6 hours in a meeting talking about the perfect deviled egg, like how big the yolk should be, where should it be in the middle of the egg, because, all eggs are different. And then she hard-boiled 16 dozen eggs to get the perfect one. A perfect one egg. She spent 16 dozen on to get that perfect one egg for that photo shoot. And then, it's under the heat lamp and all that stuff. So it started to get a little droopy. So then she just took it and then turned it around. And then her and the photographer were like, yep, okay, that's good. And so, so yeah, it all that stuff takes a lot of time. Timothy, what is your question?
Jeff Weeks actually told me that the older the egg, the farther from the center the yolk is.
Oh, really?
So the fresher the egg, it's supposed to be nice and centered and intact. And it's like when you get a nice sunny side up egg, it'll be right there in the center. But as it ages, the longer it is, the farther it starts to drift off to the side.
Oh, yeah.
That's good to know. That's good to know. But I like the photo shooting, especially when it comes to our plating. That's one of the joys I like, the art in culinary. And when you put it and take the photos and make it look nice, I enjoy doing that. But I gotta count my hours because I gotta pay myself in volunteer hours.
Volunteer, yeah.
Yeah. Or pretend I'm paying myself. That's I pretend to be the stylist or the food designer. I'll take on that load and calculate the cost what I would pay myself or somebody who's like me. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And remember too, this is also great stuff for you guys for, when you're looking at doing your resumes. If you guys took awesome photos, put those bad boys up there of your food. Be like, look what I can do. Ta-da! Look at how cool my food is. This is why you want to hire me.
I put it in the chef roles, from the career services. They have the chefrole.com, and I put photos of my foods that I created in that chef roles, which are school provided.
Oh, nice.
And so that's a nice platform to present your plated pictures and stuff. I do that also on Instagram. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Okay. Well, we are all good to go, guys. I hope everybody has a fabulous week. I hope you enjoy the marketing. Don't worry, as always, these slides will be up on the main page. And I'll send you more links about how to be an influencer and all that good stuff, because you guys can start that up now if you wanted to. So I hope everybody has a fabulous, fabulous week. And if you have any questions, let me know, and then we can get together and make sure you're good to go. But do remember to plan ahead. So if you have your makeup assignments, start them now. So that way it gives you more time to make adjustments and resubmit.
Okay. Aloha.
Right.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye, Vince,
everybody.
Sandra, Patricia, Thomas, Timothy, Rob.